Welcome to the Teapot Reads. My name's Sam. I'm the Teapot. This is what I'm currently reading, and I'm so happy to see you today. Hello, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome first time if this is your first time here. I'm joined today by Tanky, which is why my shirt is covered in dog fur. He loves this blanket, so I fully expect him to try to take off with it at some point during the video, because he'll do that all the time. I really wanted to film this video outside today because this is my summer reading recommendations, but it does look like it's going to rain. So I've left most of the books inside and I'm going to run back and forth to get them, and if the camera changes space during this video, that's why, because I don't want to risk my phone getting downpoured on. The brace is back. Say hi to the brace. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm in one piece, right? So I did one of these videos for spring, which was books that really gave spring vibes or that I recommend for springtime reading. And I really enjoyed that video, and I think you guys really enjoyed that video. So I wanted to do one for summertime and summertime books, summertime reading. It's going to be really similar to that video because I'm going to go through books that I have read and that I love and that give me like summer vibes, and then I'm going to also go through some that I haven't read yet but I still get like summery vibes from. Without further ado, and let's hope the rain keeps clear because it's gotten a little darker since sitting out here. Without further ado, let's go. First of all, we have Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. That is a big piece. Wow. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. Do you see that? That floating white thing? Wow. That was a large piece. All right. Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I read this one a couple years ago, so I don't... That's another really big piece. Oh, and that was a raindrop, wasn't it? We'll see how long we can go out here. Otherwise, we'll just move it inside. I read this one years ago for a class, actually. I really love it. Between this one and Remains of the Day, which are the only two I have read, I prefer Remains of the Day, but I do still love Never Let Me Go. It's definitely like a 4-star read. This is the summer book for you if you really want to capitalize on dark academia feelings during the summer. This one is the perfect balance between that. And it's raining. All right, we're going inside. Okay, welcome back. Ignore the mess. That's Tank's toy box that he's clearly gone through today. All right. Okay, this will have to be fine. Oh well, best laid plans, right? Like I said, dark academia for the summer months. This is about 3 people, Kathy, Ruth, and Tommy. They grew up together in a special boarding school, and you get parts from their time in the boarding school, and then you get after graduation. They kind of had a friendship separation, and Kathy, now a young woman, has had the other 2 re-enter her life. And without giving anything away, the reasons they've re-entered her life and their shared experiences at the boarding school and who they are as people are really interesting and surprising, and really a great reflection on how humanity kind of works. This book, I mean, it's a great book. It's fantastic. You really feel for Kathy, Ruth, and Tommy, and them as characters are great, and the way they intertwine with each other is great. Has that dark academia vibe because of the time in the boarding school, as well as some things that happen afterwards, but mostly because of the time in the boarding school. There's a twist in this book that you shouldn't know going into it, and the description on the back is not going to give it away, but some reviews might. And I really recommend, if you're interested in this book, try to avoid that twist, because it will really alter your perspective on what's happening and the characters in a really neat way. I knew the twist going into it, and it was a little disappointing. Like, it's still a fantastic book, but I wish I could have had that like moment where I fully had that complete alterization. But yeah, it's also, like I said, dark academia, pretentious. You'll feel a little pretentious reading this. Probably the most pretentious book on the list. And summer is, you know, not necessarily a time for pretension. Hi, Tanky. Do you come inside now? He didn't believe me when I told him it was raining, and he just stared at me. Oh, because he dragged the blanket out. Okay. I'm going to get that before it gets soaked through. Another book that just screams summertime is Dune, and I wanted to show off this beautiful edition. Yeah, I love this edition. This is the Waterstones exclusive, I think. Came out in time for the movie. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. I read Dune years ago. I didn't love it. I do, however, love the new film. I thought it was fantastic. I do think that the book has more of a summer vibe. It's set on Arrakis, a desert planet, which, okay, if you don't know what Dune is about, it's about the Atreides family who are given dukedom over the planet Arrakis, which is really valuable because of its spice there, and the spice is used to basically run the galaxy. It kind of works like gas. So it's like they have like the oil wells. And from the very beginning, hi. From the very beginning, they're kind of set up. Paul Atreides is the son of the Duke. So I don't know, does that make you, what's the title for the son of a Duke? Is there a title? I don't know. And he's not only like the heir to like the Atreides line, but his mother is Jessie Benneret, which is kind of like a witch. It's very strange and hard to just like describe. She's Jessie Benneret. And her people have been trying to create like a chosen one type person, and they think that's Paul. So Paul is an Atreides, and he is this chosen one. And his family is being sabotaged. And all this leads to just happenings. It's a super political book. I personally wish I had seen the film first. I read this before the new film came out. And there was a lot that I just did not understand. I definitely think if you're having trouble getting through the first 100 pages understanding things, stop, go watch the movie. But it's summary because of all that desertness, all that imagery. Hi. And don't worry, we'll play, I promise. And I mean, you really can't escape it. When I think Dune, I think like sand. Anakin would hate it. And we used to, when I was younger, we would go to the beach a lot more. We'd go to Florida a lot more because we have family down there. And, you know, I always stopped at the beach. And even locally, we'd go to beaches on the lakes. And so I just, summer and the beach. I mean, everyone, I think, kind of associates summer and the beach together. But this one, the sand, beach, summer, it's just a hot book. It's warm. It's a lot of political maneuverings. I know the fall is more like of a political season, actually, but there's something about the heat of the summer and the heat of not knowing who to trust. So yeah, Dune, this is if you really want to challenge this summer. 2 new reads, I read them late last year. I feel like I've talked about them both a lot. We have House of Salt and Sorrow and Small Favors, both by Erin A. Craig. These are horror, they're YA horror. They're fantastic. They are dripping in summer for completely alternate reasons. So I'm not a big horror fan, but I can handle these. Like, they freaked me out, but I can handle them. So if you're not a huge horror fan, I still recommend these. I think you can probably stomach it. When I say I'm not a horror fan, I can't even watch the Jurassic Park movies. They make me cry. But these I could do somehow. House of Salt and Sorrows is a dark retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. There's a lot more going on here. This is the type of summer that is muggy and gross and murky, and the dark nights when there's no moon in the sky and things are just a little darker because it's humid out and you just feel like you can't breathe because your clothes are sticking to your skin, and you're at the beach and there's coves and missing people. Summer for the dark, gross reasons. Okay, I love this book. You can taste the ocean water when you're reading it. It's fantastic. And then we have Small Favors, which looks a lot more like a summery book and truly is dripping in honey. This one is dry heat and depravity and madness and not knowing who you can trust. It's grass so dry that it breaks in half. It's heat exhaustion, it's dehydration. Again, terrifying. It's great. This one is sort of a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. Strongly recommend both of those. Then we have one that it's not one of my favorite books at all, but I will always associate it with the summer, and that is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This is the first in the Dark Artifices series, which is part of the larger Shadowhunter world. If you don't know about Shadowhunters, they're demon hunters. This one takes place in LA and is just a beach read. Let's be honest, it's an action-packed beach read. That's what it is. California, automatically think summer, warmth, that kind of thing. LA particularly. But this one, I think just the cast of characters, the way the characters interact, they're very Californian, some of them. Not all of them. Like Emma, I believe she's like a California girl. I don't know if I believe like any of the Blackthorns are Californians. But Emma, I believe. It's just fun. It's not deep. This is probably my least favorite series she's put out in the Shadowhunter world, which I know is an unpopular opinion. Not trash, but it's definitely not the deepest thing. You would read this summer if you go with that. I also really associate summertime with classic YA fantasy, and I picked a couple here. I picked Graceling by Kristin Cashore. This is very much a quest type storyline. Gracelings, people with the Graces, are born with like a power. Katsa is born with the killing skill, and she works for someone. I forget all the super details. Oh, she's her uncle's enforcer. That's who she works for. She meets Poe, who is a prince, and they basically become entangled in a quest together to save Bitterblue, I think is her name. Maybe not. They're trying to uncover something about Poe, and then this other princess Bitterblue shows up. I hope none of that was a spoiler. It has been a while since I read this book, but this one, and I'll show you the next one. The next one I pulled that's also like a classic YA fantasy is Sabriel by Garth Nix. This is about necromancers. This is great if you love the Stardust movie. I strongly recommend Sabriel. There's this wall that divides the magical world from the real world, and Sabriel, she is a necromancer. She crosses over and she's trying to find her father or what happened to her father. It's great. Okay, these are both fantastic. The energy from classic YA fantasy books is sitting in the library basement, air conditioning blasting, listening to children screaming and playing in the background, and just being fully enthralled in these books. So that's why I love classic YA fantasy. And both of these I think are great also outdoor reads. They're very adventurous. I love the world building. I really do think summer is a time for fantasy and deep world building. There's just more time in the day. The sun's out longer. You know, mentally, I think we all kind of switch to, yes, time to do more. And just epic fantasies are a great way to read more. Another one that gives me similar vibes, but also I would say is in some ways a road trip novel and is possibly one of the greatest YA fantasy novels of all time, is Finnegan of the Rock by Melina Marchetta. Okay, the prologue for this, you have to get through it. You just have to get through it. It makes no fucking sense, but you have to get through it. And then the first 2 chapters are like really boring. I'm so sorry. However, once you get through that all, it becomes one of the most rewarding and amazing stories you will ever read, hands down. I love Finnegan of the Rock. I will talk it up constantly. There's no easy way to pitch this because it is not an easy book. Finnegan is from a group of people whose kingdom was cut off via magic from the rest of the world. And he and his people live in exile. They get a message indicating that the heir to his kingdom might still be alive. They just have to find him. They go to the place where they think they might find him or find answers, and they find this mysterious girl. And she is kind of the catalyst for this quest to piece together and free Finnegan's kingdom. There's so much more than that. The way Melina Marchetta writes characters and character relationships is phenomenal. And it's definitely like a quest type storyline, but it has proper twists. It has really good twists. It has really good nuanced characters. I feel like we're missing nuanced characters from a lot of contemporary YA fiction right now. but we have characters that it's not easy to like them even if they're a good person. And sometimes it's too easy to like them even if they're a bad person. And it does a wonderful job of showing you all the shades of people. It's also, like I said, it feels like a road trip novel. They very much are on a sort of fantasy road trip in that they're on this quest and they're seeing all these sights and they're meeting all these people and they're having little episodes of activity. And road trips and summertime for me go hand in hand. We never flew anywhere really until I was older. When I was really little, we would fly, but then we would drive pretty much anywhere if we went on vacation. And yeah, so road trips and me, just always at summertime. There's also so much time to read on a road trip, unless you're driving, of course, but then you listen to audiobooks. So again, lots of time to read. And I do think road trip novels are a staple of the summer. So let me go get the rest of the pile because I thought I was going to be outside, so the pile is elsewhere. So I have to go get that. I'll be right back. There are 3 books I associate as road trip novels, more than any other. And I do love all of these quite a bit. I'm a sucker for a good road trip story. The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, historical fiction, very gay. It's about Monty and Percy and Monty's sister Felicity. They are on a trip. The trip goes awry and it ends up as a treasure hunt. I love this book to death. I have read it umpteen times and tabbed it, and yeah, probably it's due a reread soon. I just love it so much. Then we also have Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. Definitely not the best book in the Simon Snow trilogy, but still fine. And the road trip aspects are really fun, especially because they start in Chicago and they go to Cheesecake Factory. And literally every single thing they say about Chicago and Cheesecake Factory is accurate. Yeah, I see no lies in that part. And the ultimate road trip novel, American Gods by Neil Gaiman, one of my favorite books and just so important in my life. I would love to someday do a road trip based off this book and visit as many places as I could and live it as close to this book as possible. It's just fantastic. This is the road trip book. Okay, it's the road trip book. I also wanted to go over some books I haven't read yet, but give me summer vibes. This isn't really a TBR, but I would like to read them in season because I think that would be the most fulfilling experience for them. So first of all, anytime there's like mermaids or ships or pirates, I automatically think summer. And I've had Fable and Namesake sitting on my TBR for a while now. These are the Fairy Late editions. I really just need to read them. I definitely feel like I could read them back to back really quickly. I'm not 100% what they're about, but people love them so very much. And now there's one spin-off book and there's going to be like another. So it's got like quite the fan base. It's got ships and seas and water. So summer. If the ocean is involved, I'm probably going to think summer. Although not necessarily, because I also will think like cold, but mostly summer. I mostly think summer. Then we have, now this one is technically kind of on my TBR if you saw my spring wrap up. And that's Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I really need to just read this book this year, especially before the prequel comes out. This is a chunker. I think the fact that it's got orange in the title very much vibes summer for me. I don't like oranges. I actually hate them, and the smell of them makes me feel nauseous, but it's undeniable that oranges are a summery thing. And like I said, epic fantasy, high fantasy is a summery thing for me. I feel like you can just get deep into those kind of stories when you have the summer surrounding you. This also has dragons, and I used to go to the park and play pretend that I was like riding dragons when I was on the swings. So dragons, I don't think they ride dragons. I'm pretty sure they hunt dragons, but still dragons. So I think there's also a boat, someone on a boat. Pretty, is that vague? I'm pretty sure there is someone on a boat as a major character. I could be so wrong though. Then we've got some weird sci-fi. We actually have Cities of Saints and Mad Men by Jeff Vandermeer. This cover is so haunting. I love it so much. This is the first in the Ambergris trilogy, and I think it's actually technically a series of shorter stories. I could be totally wrong. No, it is. It's shorter stories. Or like episodes that connect, something like that. This is like weird sci-fi. I'm just gonna read you the back, and then I'm gonna tell you why I think summer. Actually, I'll tell you why I think summer now. I think summer because I used to go like fairy hunting, which was just traipsing through the woods and like looking for signs of fairies having been there. And I used the Spiderwick Field Guide when I did it because I still have that. And something about like weird science fiction and like science fiction in general that has to do with nature is really like a summery vibe for me. But something about that like going out into the world and trying to find the magic really vibes with weird sci-fi in my head. Okay, so let me read you the back. In Cities of Saints and Madmen, Jeff Vandermeer introduces us to a cast of characters no less strange and compelling than the city of Ambergris itself. A would-be suitor discovers that a sunlit street can become a killing ground in the blink of an eye. An artist receives an invitation to a beheading and finds himself enchanted. An eccentric guide to Ambergris, written by a down-and-out historian, warns of impending doom for the city. And everywhere on the walls of courtyards and churches there grows an incandescent fungus of mysterious and ominous origin. For fans both new and old of Jeff Vandermeer, the Ambergris novels are essential reading. Welcome to Ambergris. We can't promise you'll leave untransformed. God. And then the last two are classics. So one of them is a lesser known classic. This is by Italo Calvino. This is Under the Jaguar Sun. I do believe this was unfinished at the time of his death. It was supposed to be, I believe, 5 or 6 short stories, each dealing with a different sense. But he only got through 3. They would be, I don't know if it'll tell me. I don't remember. I haven't read them, like I said, but he sadly was not able to finish this collection. I read If on a Winter's Night a Traveler last year or 2 years ago now maybe, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. So this is something that would be a quick sort of follow-up, especially because it is just 3 little short stories. The title story, Under the Jaguar Sun, it just feels warm, and that was probably the point. Maybe that was the sense he was trying to incorporate. It takes place, well, okay, so like the first couple lines, it's Oaxaca is pronounced Oaxaca. It's spelled out. Originally, the hotel where we were staying had been the convent of Santa Catalina. The first thing we noticed was a painting in a little room leading to the bar. The bar was called Las Novicias. The painting was a large, dark canvas that portrayed a young nun and an old priest standing side by side, their hands slightly apart from their sides, almost touched. The fingers were rather stiff for an 18th century picture. The painting had the somewhat crude grace characteristics of colonial art, but it conveyed a distressing sensation, like an ache of contained suffering. So I mean, it's called Under the Jaguar Sun, so I like feel the heat of the sun. If you're looking for a quick classic, I mean, I love Italo Calvino, and I think a lot of his stories are actually really quite short, but this one is teeny tiny. And I think I got it like for like $2. It was on sale. And I was like, oh, Italo Calvino, I don't have that one. May as well just like pick it up. And then last but not least, Wind in the Willows. I want to read this sitting next to a babbling brook. Okay, this just is gonna, it seems so relaxing and charming and very much sitting in the shade of a tree. Summertime vibes. That is Wind in the Willows. All right. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video and you want to see more content like this, I would definitely appreciate it if you subscribed. And if you already subscribed, thank you. It means the world to me that you are here, that you are listening, that you care about what I have to say. Thank you. If you are somewhere cold, I hope you're staying warm. If you're somewhere warm, I hope you're staying comfortable. And most of all, I hope you're reading a great book. I will see you guys next time. Bye.